What is up, everyone? How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. It's actually been over a year since my last video. I know, I've gone missing. It's been a crazy year, I mean, for everyone to say the least, right? But I'm back. Hopefully I'll keep posting more consistently. That's what I plan on doing anyways. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. And if you like this video, make sure you like it. I actually want to take some time today to talk about a few things that I wish I knew when I first started programming, which would have saved me a lot of time and would have gotten me to where I wanted to get to, becoming a professional developer, that is, faster. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Number one, and probably the most important on this list, is choose a path. I actually see a lot of people doing this when they're first starting out, including myself. We tend to try to learn as many things as possible right off the bat in an attempt to get to our goal of becoming a developer faster, but in reality, that's actually slowing us down. Take a step back and try to decide, what do you want to become? What are you trying to create? What are you passionate about? If video games are your passion and you can see yourself making video games, then I would suggest just focusing on game development, zeroing in on that, and learning the languages and technology specific to that. If you have $1 million app idea, that's great. Start learning today as much as you can about mobile development and just focus on that for now. If you want to make websites or web applications, or the thought of servers and networking interests you, then focus on web development for starters. I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't experiment and play around with new languages, or that even learning new things is wrong. If anything, that's what makes programming fun. But I'm just trying to get you where you want to go faster. In the world of programming, there's always new things to learn, but having a plan when you're first starting out will save you a bunch of time. All right, so you chose a path, what now? My second tip would be focus on one thing at a time. See, choosing a programming field is actually the first step. What you'll quickly come to realize is that in every field, there's actually a subsequent set of technologies and specializations in that field. So if you decided, for example, to get into web development, front end, I believe, is easier for newcomers to grasp, and it's actually more rewarding because the feedback loop is immediate and it's pretty visual too. And when it comes on what to focus on front end web development itself, at first I would say just focus on HTML. Don't worry about making things pretty. Just try to understand why certain commands, certain code makes things appear on your screen in a certain way. And after that, you can focus on CSS. Get a good understanding of CSS because it's actually much harder than a lot of people think it is. And after you feel comfortable with CSS, only then I would say move on to JavaScript. And then from JS, I would suggest you focus on the technologies and libraries that are specific to JS, something like React after that, for example. Then by that point, you should have enough of experience to start applying to junior developer jobs. I know I make it sound easy, but honestly, if you have a set plan when you're first starting out, and I know I keep hammering on that, but there's a reason. I think when you're first starting out, if you have a plan, you can just focus on understanding the language, understanding the programming concepts, and you don't have to worry about what's next. Another thing I actually wish I knew when I was first starting out is don't just watch or read. A lot of beginner developers, actually, I'm guilty of this myself too, end up into what's called a tutorial purgatory. You end up watching one tutorial after the next, maybe you code along with the instructor, but then you only end up doing it over and over again without actually taking the time to create your own projects and bringing your own ideas to life. Watching courses is a great way to learn. However, learning by doing is a great way to actually understand those concepts, and it will actually force you to come up with solutions or research problems on your own, which is pretty much what you're going to be doing when you're at the job anyways. So in my opinion, it's actually better for you to get used to debugging and looking up solutions for your own code by yourself rather than just having them presented to you by the instructor of the course. Another important topic on this list would also be finding a community. Try to connect with as many people as possible, and if you can even find someone who's going through the same thing as you are, becoming a developer, if you can even pair with someone, then that will help you out immensely. There are actually a lot of Discord and Slack channels out there for beginner and even advanced devs, and also Twitter is a great place. So there's definitely a community for you. And if you want me to point you towards the right direction, if you haven't checked out 100 Days of Code, then give that a try. On the topic of community, something that would arguably be even more helpful is finding someone who's willing to mentor and guide you throughout your journey. And even though that might be harder to find, there are people out there that are willing to mentor. And there's a platform for that. I think it's called codingcoach.io. I'll have a link in the description below. Definitely check out that platform. Number 5 on this list is get comfortable with reading other people's code. Throughout your career, you'll end up working with more brownfield projects rather than greenfield ones. That means that you'll most likely end up working with more projects that have already been established rather than starting something from scratch. Obviously, that's not always the case, and some of you might end up working at a hot new startup that's now rolling out their new product, but the chances that you'll end up maintaining and adding new features to an existing project are greater. And even if you do end up in a startup, starting something from scratch, you'll still have to interact with the code of your peers and even review it. Last but not least, you'll actually end up writing less code than what you actually think you will. What I mean is, programming is not just about writing code. It's actually about solving problems, and that's what you'll be getting paid to do. Programming is just a way of us translating solutions to business problems into a machine-readable language. But before you even form a solution to a problem, you'll first have to discuss it with your peers, present possible ways and ideas of how to approach it, make a case on why one approach is better than the other, and only then you'll find translating all of that into code. Basically, that's a very long-winded way of me saying that programming is first and foremost about communication. Even when it comes to the code itself, always remember that you're writing that code to communicate to your peers what that code is doing. So whether it is actual soft skills or readable code, keep in mind that you should be a good communicator first. And that will actually get you further in your career than just having the mindset of an individual contributor. If you made it to this point of the video, then that means you know 6 more things than what I knew when I first started coding. And that already gives you an advantage. So what are you waiting for? Start coding and keep those things in mind. And I probably have to leave because it's almost dark out here. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video. Till next time.